guys, and welcome to a new episode of A Dog's Soul. I'm Anita, I'm a professional dog trainer and your host, and today we're gonna talk about how to find a friend for your dog. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, welcome to this very special episode. I think many of you will have asked themselves how they can find the right dog for their dog. It's actually not really easy, and of course it depends on where you live and how your family and friends look like, if there are many dogs or not, and if they are compatible with your dog. So we're right in the topic. First of all, maybe you've seen the video last week on Do Dogs Need Other Dogs? If not, watch it on YouTube. It's about how many dog friends your dog needs and also where to find them, but not as detailed as we are talking about it now. So dogs don't need many dogs, and the whole pack thing is forgotten widely, thankfully, because it's just not true. And what we know now about dogs is that they really love spending time with their humans, and a lot of them don't even need a second dog at home. Some of them do, it's very individual, but very often we get a second dog because we want to live with two dogs, and it's not solely because our dog wants another dog. But even for dog groups, or for soul dogs, it's important to have social contact. And depending on how compatible your dog is with other dogs, this contact can look very different. Because for some dogs who just aren't compatible and they don't like other dogs, it's enough to just sniff their scents and know who lives around them and stuff like that. For other dogs who really like dogs, it's important to have very high quality contacts. What does that mean? Well, some people you just connect with. They are just absolutely your wavelength. They are totally great. You can talk for hours with them about everything, and it's just easy. And time flies when you're with. And then there are people, you kind of like them, but it's not as easy to talk to them. It's sometimes a little hard to pass the time. Sometimes they even seem to drain you of your energy. And for dogs, it seems like it's very similar. So dogs can have really good friends who they hang out with and who they do funny stuff with and goof around and stuff, and sometimes even play. It's okay if adult dogs don't play, it's just they have grown out of it, but some dogs still play when they know each other. And with other dogs, they can walk next to each other, but they don't really pay much attention to each other. And that's fine too. Of course, what is not fine is when one dog starts bullying the other. Of course, that's not okay, and dogs don't have to fix that between each other. They just need help in those situations, and dogs who are just not friendly to your dog should be kept away from your dog. But if you want to find your dog a good friend, then of course you have to meet other dogs. But how would you do that? Because you don't want to meet a bully. I would always start with friends and family, because you really know them, and most of the time you do know the dogs as well, and maybe you have already seen them interact with other dogs on a walk or something like that. But you definitely know how this person interacts with the dog and how the dog is treated and how the dog is trained. So does he listen to his human? Do they have a connection? Is the dog interruptible in situations like if the dog is, for example, trying to follow a game trail and the human asks him to look at them or come back. Does the dog do that? Because that can be important in the interaction with your dog. Because maybe the play is getting a little too intense and you want to recall your dog and the other dog. If one of them doesn't listen, it's very hard for the other to come back. And of course, the dog cannot be afraid of his human. And sometimes with, let's call them training techniques. For me, it's not training, but for the sake of argument, let's call him that. The dog is trained based on punishment and fear. And of course, such a dog cannot interact freely because he has to keep in mind that there could be a punishment for any action he does. So that's very important. And if you don't have somebody in your inner circle who has a dog and you think you would like to try it with that dog, then you can try social media. But there, of course, you don't really know the people, and I would always recommend talking to the people first and finding out how they interact with their dog, again, how they train their dog, who is their dog, how do they describe the dog. Like, if somebody talks to me about their dog and there are many swear words in them and they call the dog, I don't know, all that bad things, then for me, it sounds like there's something wrong with the relationship. Because yes, sometimes I goof around with my dogs and I call them funny names and stuff like that, but it's never serious. I never say to my dog, I don't know, you're an idiot or something like that in a serious tone. And people who do that, it seems fishy to me. So I would not really like to meet that dog because I wouldn't trust a human. And if you have found somebody who you think is the right person and could have a dog who fits your dog, of course it's easier with same breeds or same breeding goals. So like a herder with a herder and a hunting dog with a hunting dog, but sometimes a mix-up is fine too. Then you can meet that dog. Some people like to meet the dog first, but that might not be okay for the other owner because there's really not much in that for them. But you can also meet the dog with your dog. What I think is important when two dogs meet for the first time is that it's very relaxed. So you start at a great distance and you walk together and you start getting closer as you're walking. There's a lot of sniffing, so meet in a place where it smells interestingly for your dog and the other dog becomes kind of irrelevant at the beginning. And if they decide that they don't want to interact with each other even when they are close enough, then that's fine too. And if they start interacting with each other, have a very good look at it and have a close eye on it. Because sometimes the dogs start to fiddle about because they are not really comfortable. And they try to solve the conflict and the uncomfortable situation with goofing around. And if that happens, you can help your dog with starting an interaction and calling them away from the other dog and just do something together. Of course, that's why it's so important that the other person is on the same level, because it has to be okay for both of you. Otherwise, one person will call the dog and the other person will start an argument maybe, or just leave the dog running behind yours and nagging him and stuff like that. And that's not what you want. So basically, if you want to meet another dog with your dog, talk to the human first and really try to connect with the other person. And then it's not that bad if the dogs aren't really compatible with each other, because you help them and you can all have a nice time. And if the dogs become friends, of course, and they do want to play, watch the play. Don't get too involved with the other person while the dogs are playing and interacting with each other, because maybe they need help and you don't want to miss that. So, to sum it up, get to know the human, find a dog who's compatible to yours, take it very slowly, and watch them interact so you can help if needed. If you liked the podcast, I would love for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, and click the thumbs up button and the little bell so you don't miss anything. If you have any questions, of course, you can write me an email or a WhatsApp on Facebook or Facebook Messenger, whatever is comfortable for you. And don't forget to check out Brave Dog Training online. I would love to hear from you and hear about your doggy friends and how you found them. Have fun with your dog, and we'll see each other on Thursday for a new dog training video. Bye!